And thank you so much to the Wacom team for this opportunity and the LightBox Expo team, of course, for making this event possible. I'm just incredibly humbled to be part of this event, and it's filled with so much talent. But especially thank you guys for being here with me, because I got to tell you a little story. First of all, well, I am Manu Mercurial. I'm a freelance 2D animator, and I've worked for clients like Disney and Cartoon Network, HBO. And recently, I've been working in the Lackadaisy animated pilot, which, by the way, I hope you can check out once it comes out. It's going to be great. And yeah, I am also an animator from Costa Rica, and that carries a lot of things. So what that means is, even though I did go to an animation school, it was a 3D animation school. So everything that I've had to learn through these years has to be through events like this, or YouTube, or online resources, or with the people I've worked with. So it really is so dear to me, these types of events, because I get to give a little bit back to the community that has given me so much. So I hope I can be of service to you today. And yeah, so I'm going to show you a little bit of my work. There we go. So what is this talk about? First of all, this talk is both for illustrators and animators. I don't want anyone to feel left out, but first I'm going to address the illustrators. So these are all personal projects I've done, and it is also all done in Clip Studio. I'll talk a little bit about that. But through my years in social media, I've seen a lot of illustrators that start animating their work, either just for fun or running with inspiration or just to create social media content. And one thing that I noticed is there are, like, obviously the quality is great, but sometimes they miss little things, little fundamentals in the animation part that if they knew, and again, these are really simple things, I feel that their animation will look 10 times as better. So I hope I can teach these fundamentals to you today so you can apply them, and you'll see how fun this is, and maybe you'll find a new passion. But now for animators, you may be thinking, oh, this is going to be extremely basic. Well, first of all, well, you don't know if everything here you will know. I recommend you stick around. But even then, there's another side of the coin that I want to explore today. So basically, the talk is going to have two parts, and it's the shading part of the animation. So how, after animating, I see a lot of animators, they stop and they just leave it as a rough, or sometimes they clean up, but they don't go after, they don't do a lot of shading or coloring because they feel like maybe cell shading is going to be flat. Or so I'm going to show you a process that you can apply to hopefully make your things look way better and more professional. And I want to make this very clear. I'm not here to tell you what is right or wrong. That is not the message. Of course, this is just the fundamentals that I picked up, and I hope that I can make a marriage of what I've learned from animation and illustration, and you can take this and apply it. Like I was mentioning, the software that I will be using is Clip Studio. But before you click away and say, I don't have Clip Studio, bye-bye, the important thing here is not how I'm doing the things in Clip Studio, but rather the fundamentals, the building blocks that we have to play with. So I really, for me, the best software is the one you have available. Of course, the steps will vary, but you can do these things in other software. I just use Clip Studio because it makes my life so much easier, and maybe I might show you why today. So yeah, let's get going. It's going to be a lot of fun, and don't worry, it's not going to be like a bouncing ball demo. I'm going to start with this. Boop. So the one thing I ask of you for this to work is to have two drawings. Because sometimes I see illustrators that start animating and then it's like a character just blinking, but the entire drawing is just standing still. So I will show you what we can do with two drawings that, of course, we will call keyframes. So the thing about a keyframe is it tells a story. It tells an action. It is a what. What is going on? What is the character doing? So these are going to be our two keyframes. So again, at first, this is going to seem like, oh, this is way too basic, but we are going to ramp up pretty fast because we only have 1 hour. So, okay, we have these two keyframes, and you might have heard of the timing. Timing animation is made out of timing and spacing. And for this talk to work, I want you to really understand the difference between the two. So timing is literally how long does the action takes, which can be translated to how many frames or seconds is taken to go from one drawing to the next, right? So this is what I see a lot of animators do. And is this. So we have this drawing and this drawing. So they say, well, just do an in-between. And that's what everybody does. Just animation, just adding in-betweens, right? And they put it right in the middle. So then they say, oh, well, it's too choppy. I'm going to add a couple more. And this is what they end up with. So let me show you the onion skin. There we go. So you can see everything is right in the middle. And this is actually pretty boring as an animation, but this is what I see often. I'm going to play the animations. I also am going to skew because I'm not sure if you can see like the entire frame rate, but hopefully you can. And so we were going to talk about spacing, which spacing is where do I put my drawings to generate the illusion of either acceleration, deceleration, or like in this case, even spacing, which you can see every drawing is at the same distance. Now, this is something really important for character animation. Doesn't matter what your character is. If your character is alive, it probably won't move like this. Even spacing should be the exception and not the rule. But these days, I see it is kind of like the rule when people are starting to animate. So we're going to talk about acceleration. So for acceleration, drawings are going to start, you can see, really close together, and then they're going to separate. Let's play it. Whoop. It creates the illusion that it's starting to gain speed, right? By the same coin, deceleration would be if drawings start with, well, the distance starts decreasing and decreasing and decreasing. Whoop. Again, these things you may already know, and that's fantastic. But then this is how living things move. They have acceleration and deceleration. It's really hard for us to move like a road sign, those neon road signs in Las Vegas, right? So I want to show you something today, which is this is the first important thing. And I have these balls here. The way you do this is, let me just make another layer to draw. Okay. So if this is your keyframe 1, this is your keyframe 2, and this is your first in between, and you want to create deceleration when then you do this in between first, right? And then you would create this one, right? Because it's in the middle of those two. But I want to propose something to you. If you do it this way, you're actually not creating deceleration because these distances are exactly the same. So I know this is weird, but I want you to push this one drawing and get it closer to this one. So this way, look what's happening. Go here. The distance are getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Now this is deceleration. So I want you to not be afraid of having drawings almost one on top of the other, because this is actually going to push your spacing. And we're going to start talking about that. Okay. So let's do the same with an in-between. If we have this, right, this is right in the middle, and this is right in the middle, then we would do, let me go in here. Okay. Right, so this in between, I'm going to do them fairly fast just to fill in. This in between, you would do right in the middle. You can see this is a key aspect when you are in between. It pays if you are careful with how you're drawing. So this is right in the middle. Let's do the eye. Let's do the other eye. And then the smile. And let's not forget a bit of the ears. So this is right in the middle. And then we have to do the final one, which will be here. So this is what I want to convey. Don't draw this one right in the middle too, because then between this one and this one, all the distances will be the same. So we actually want to push this one and be way closer to the green one. Actually, I'm going to show you a little cheat that we can do, which is instead of drawing the thing from the start, we are going to use the final one. I'm going to rename it. And then we can just move it a little bit. Again, and we can, like, if I want the nose to move a little bit, then we can correct it. But by doing this, it's going to feel like real deceleration. It's really, it fits in. Otherwise, it will feel too even. Okay. So what happens when we have both acceleration and deceleration? This is a safe way of animating. So you can see here, the drawings at first are close together. See, they start really close together, then they start separating, then they get close together again. This is how living things move. So if you don't know what spacing to use, this is a great option, okay? But I want to show you something. We're going to compare exactly this animation and this spacing to this one. So let me hide this two first. So what's the difference that you can notice here? Look at the spacing, what's happening here. See how these distances are not the same at this. Here we are pushing it way more, and then the distance becomes huge, and then they get really close together. This is what we animators mean when we say push your spacing, and this is going to give you a more natural effect. You might think, oh no, this is going to be too snappy, but actually it's not. This feels more natural. I'm going to play both. And the thing is, even though we can objectively see these drawings are closer and here they are closer, it all feels like even spacing because animation is the illusion of movement. So it's how it feels like it's moving. Look how this feels more natural, right? I'm going to skew slowly. So again, I really suggest that you are not afraid of having your drawings be really close together. Okay. Moving on. Well, I'm not going to do the in-betweens again. You understood, but it's instead of doing this, it's basically try and do this if you can. I'm not saying, I want to make this very clear. I'm not saying this is wrong. This is not wrong. But if you want it to be like it feel extremely clear, then try to push them like this. So basically don't draw in the middle. I know it sounds weird to in between. I'm actually going to do this because yeah, this is important for me that you understand this. So the demo that we're going to do today makes sense. And I'm here, okay. Because yeah, guys, I got a big surprise for you today. You'll see. So again, we're trying to do this. So if you're going to in between this, we are not going to draw right in the middle, but actually try to get it closer to the green one. I'm just going to do this. Here, like this way, the eyebrows, whatever. And then the in between. Again, way closer to the green. Well, we'll use the same technique that we just did and just copy. Oh, I erased the one that was this one. There we go. And move it a little bit, tiny bit, so it's also closer to this one at the end, and then we can like correct things if something that's moving. But okay. This way, deceleration is way clearer. If you just draw everything in the middle, it's going to feel a little stiff. It's going to be a little unnatural. Okay. So then the question comes up, how do I know what to do with the spacing? When do I need acceleration? When do I need deceleration? I promise I wasn't going to do a bouncing ball, but this is the best example that we can get. It always goes back to a bouncing ball. So I'm going to duplicate some drawings here. Start moving. When a bouncing ball is moving, I'm not going to use squash stretch. I just want to make this point. When you throw something in the air, it starts with a lot of velocity, but then gravity kicks in and it starts decelerating, which means, just do a little more here. Ooh. All the drawings at the top are going to be closer together, right? So it starts, oops. My friends are gonna kill me because I'm missing the arch, but it's okay. So it starts, drawings start getting closer and closer together, but then as it starts coming back down, it starts accelerating again, and then the distance starts getting bigger and bigger and bigger. That's what you need to think when doing any animation. Do I need, if I'm loading a punch, do I need to make the drawings closer and closer together? If I'm jumping, for example, you saw in my animations, I animated a girl jumping with a sword. When she's in the air, I want many, many drawings. And this is another thing, guys. Don't be afraid of having a lot of time in the air. It doesn't need to be a lot of drawings. You can just leave them for longer. Like, I'm not going to be a purist and tell you that if you're working at 24 frames per second, again, this is more for like fun stuff that you should do. This is not TV animation, but they start getting closer and then they start accelerating again. So they move really fast. Yo, what's up, Tung? Hey, guys. I'm in the chat, by the way. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. It's awesome to see the... I'm not going to say that on stream, but it's awesome to see you guys. Okay, so we're going to push this box server, I'm going to say. Okay, so this is our timing being pushed, our spacing, sorry, being pushed. See? Now let's talk about the key to great animation. Animator Richard Williams used to say, any artist can draw a great keyframe, but an animator lives in the breakdowns. So we're going to talk about our first building block that is not a keyframe, and it's neither an in-between. And it is a breakdown. So you can see we have the same spacing twice. The animation starts with acceleration and then ends with deceleration. But we are going to change one drawing in the middle, which is this one. Hey, what's up, Hazu? And look at the illusion that it creates. Whoop. I'm going to go slowly through it so you can see it. Whoop. We just changed this one drawing so it feels like the hand is doing this, right? It's not moving stiff like a branch, but it's doing this by changing one drawing, and we generate the illusion of what we call drag. So this is a breakdown. Why is it called a breakdown? Because it is a drawing that tells us how the action happens. It is not what the action, it's always he lifts his arm, but it's how he lifts his arm. And we can do anything we want with this. So let me show you a little bit. I'm gonna wait on this. So this is the first one we had, whoop, right? Just changing this drawing to drag. We can also lead with the arm, which instead of having it, I'm going to show you the onion skin actually. Instead of having it right in the middle, we'll have it actually a little forward. So it's almost at the end, and see what happens. Feels whoop, like the character is leading with the arm. Again, all we're doing is changing one drawing with acceleration and deceleration. Then we're just going to do something crazy and add two breakdowns. So we will have this one. It's going from here to here. And for this one to work, we do need to change a little bit of this in between. So from here, it's going back, but then it moves and it stretches out and does like an arch. Look at what happens. So again, the action's the same. It's just going up. But by using breakdowns, you get to tell us how that's happening. So what I want you to take home is that breakdowns give us overlap, which overlap in animation means not everything gets to the endpoint at the same time. And that's how living things move. But it gives us acting. This is an acting show. You might be thinking, oh, but aren't the keyframes what tells us what the action is? Of course. But how the action is happening is in the breakdowns. And it's that drawing that you change to give a different illusion. Okay, let's also talk about another building block, which is an anticipation. Okay, so here, an anticipation is basically, if you're going to punch, you can't just throw your punch, right? You need to load it up before it goes. In real life, we don't really do that. We don't really, if I'm going to point that way, I don't really go, right? But it's in animation, we want to prepare the audience for what is going to happen. So it's cool if you add a drawing where it's actually going in the opposite direction and then it goes. So that's what we're going to do. If it's going up, then we're going to move it down. But then we're going to do it with deceleration. We want drawings to be closer and closer together. And this is what we get. They get closer and closer together, and then they go, put it like this, up, right? And it's the same thing we had before with the deceleration. So let's play it. Just gives strength, and then it goes. But it feels weird when it stops, right? So one other thing we could have is an overshoot and then a settle. So we're going to start again. Ooh. There we go. With the normal arm going up, but then instead of going here, we're actually going to go way beyond and then go back, then settle back. Right? So it's like this. And with a spacing of deceleration to settle back in. So one important thing that I want you to take into account with both anticipations and overshoots is we need enough time for them to happen. You don't know how many times I see that they do add an anticipation, but it's just one drawing and then it goes. The anticipation is the one responsible for the energy of the action. Doesn't matter how fast you move your punch, if it doesn't have enough anticipation, it might feel weak. I'm not saying that all anticipation needs to take that long, but one frame anticipation is the exception and not the rule. The rule is to have enough time for it to load, and then it goes. Same goes for an overshoot, where we need enough time for it to settle back down, right? Okay, so let's have both of them.
Recording
stopped.
Look
at the chart. Again, we only have this drawing in the middle, and what we're going to have is deceleration for the anticipation, and then it goes through the middle, and an overshoot, and settles back to the second keyframe. So, whoop. See how now we're creating something different?
Recording in progress.
This is the great thing about these building blocks. Now you're not just going from one drawing to the other with an acceleration, deceleration, but you can actually anticipate, overshoot, and then settle back in. So let's add to the mix. Remember how we could change one drawing in the middle? Let's add a breakdown in the middle. So again, we have anticipation, breakdown, overshoot, and it settles back down. And look at what happens. This feels so different from what we had before, right? This is the key to animating. And I'm not like, it's the same drawings you were going to do. I'm just telling you which pieces you should use so it actually feels like it's animated, right? We're going to go, like I told you, we're going to ramp it up. We're going to get more complex and more complex. So I hope you're paying attention. So now we are going to add a breakdown between the first key and the anticipation. So we're going to make it drag a little bit. You can see the hand drags a little bit, goes through the breakdown, and then again, goes to the overshoot and drags a little bit. You can see it here, right? So you can use more breakdowns between your overshoot and anticipations. So look at what we're doing. Again, it's the same drawings you would do. This is so different, guys. If you could use this in your illustrations, it's the same drawings. You're not even, I'm going to be honest with you, you don't even have to do all of the in-betweens for deceleration stuff. Just think of the building blocks that you're using for your character to move, and then you can create an illusion of movement. So let's do an example with this. This is an awesome thing that Clip Studio has, is that I can label things inside of my file. So this can help with lip sync, and this can help with labeling what I'm doing. So right now I'm going from this key to, again, the same drawing, but what I'm going to do is like a wand casting a spell. So my anticipation will be up here, then I overshoot with stretch, and then it goes back up. So let's see if I'm showing the actual, oh, it's I have everything turned on. Well, it's fine. But so I'm going from here to here, to here, and then here. But from here to here, I'm going to use a breakdown, which is this one. See how the hand is dragging before getting back up? And then from this anticipation to my overshoot, I want to do this one drawing. I want to say something really important about this one drawing, because you can see we are both making this bend. We're using a little smear. So I want to talk about smears. This is the other thing that I see a lot of beginner animators and illustrators do a lot in their pieces. It is using smears because, oh, I don't know what to do, so I'm just going to use a smear. And sometimes they use it even for like weird things like deceleration and things. Smears should be used to cover a great distance in a very short time. That is the function of a smear. If I go like this, you can see an after image that is created by the camera. That is when you should use a smear. So right now I'm going all the way from here to the overshoot, and it's moving so fast I can use a smear. Let me skew through the animation. Whoop, breakdown, anticipation, overshoot, and settle. Look at what we created, guys. I want you to notice it is always the same hand. I'm not changing the drawing of the hand, but it feels, right? It feels more, it flows way better. Alrighty, guys. And yeah, we're right in time to get to the demo today. I hope this was clear. And now check out what we're going to do. So for today's demo, I did something very, very special with the help of a friend. I want to shout him out. So these are two illustrations by the great Sevania. And Sevania is, I want to show you this, because I would really, really, really love if you can go to either his Twitter or Instagram at Sevania Art and give him a big virtual hug for helping us today. He didn't ask for a shout out, but come on, look at this beautiful piece. I've been a fan of Sevania's art for years now, and I asked him, can I animate one of your illustrations for this? And he gladly said yes. So I want to show you. So, oh, yeah, we're going to go from here to here. These are the two drawings that Sevania did. And this is my version. And if you're wondering, yeah, it is animated. Hey. So we're going to see how we created everything. I actually have to hurry. Okay. But let's talk about the animation first. Don't worry, we're going to cover it all. Oh, by the way, guys, we're right in the middle point of the talk. Since I have so much content that I need to cover, we won't have time for a Q&A, but I know some of you will have some questions. So you can jump into the Lightbox Discord server that you probably are in, and we're going to go to the Hangout and Chill channels. We'll just jump into a voice channel, probably, let's see. Yeah, let's jump into voice 2. We'll do it after the talk, but you can go there if you have any questions. If you just want to say hi, I hope to see you there. You just click here and join me. You'll find me because I will be streaming my screen like I'm doing right now. So go there. But yeah, let's talk about the animation. So what we did here is go from here to here. Now you will notice something. The body is not moving. When Sevania did these drawings, the body is standing still. So I will show you a little trick that we can do, because honestly, when some parts move and others don't, it feels a little like it's the enemy of quality. So what I'm going to do is add an overshoot from here to here, add an overshoot and move him. Look at the body. I just skewed it a little bit to the left. As her head moves, I skewed it a little bit to the left. So, and then it comes back to the other drawing. And again, what we're doing is just, we have a keyframe and we have the small overshoot. And to get there, we go through a breakdown, which is from here to here. It's almost an in-between. It doesn't have much, but from this one to this one, we do have a little bit of drag in the hair. So if I add a drawing with the hair, it's actually looking, I could do it more exaggerated, but it doesn't make sense here. But if you add drag to some parts of your breakdown, then when you're in between, this is what happens. And you can see how her hair settles back in, right? But this is all we did. This is what I'm proposing to you guys. You want to see a more complex version of what we can do? I animated this. I'm going to go real fast over it, but there we go. I want to do something real basic, but I'll also show you like the same fundamentals. They can scale up to this one. This is another illustration by Sevania, where the character goes from here to here. And what we're going to do is, first she looks up. So this is another keyframe. So we have, whoop, she goes and to this one. We also have her like shooing a little bit. You can see here. And from here to the anticipation, we just have deceleration. Anticipation, then we set overshoot, where we stretch the whole body a little bit. And then it settles. Look at the whole thing. Oh, I'm missing one really important key drawing, which is this one, the breakdown. So from here to here, we have this breakdown. And it has something really important, which is this. Look how her legs were together here, and now they're wide. So in the breakdown, we can separate the different things. So we have her hips getting closer to the final position, again, leading with the drawing, exactly what we did with the hand. And the foot is almost there, the leg is almost there at the ending point. So this creates the illusion when you're in between of, whoop, right? Okay, let's go. I hope this is very clear what you can do when you have the pieces, right? So you have anticipation, overshoot, breakdowns, and keyframes. And now you know about the spacing, how you can create acceleration and deceleration. With just these things, it's a whole new world that I wish you can try in your work. But now let's focus on how I did this shading. So for this, I'm going to turn everything off. You can see even the background is animated. I hope we have time to show that off too. Let's turn everything off, even the background. And we're just going to leave the line art. Again, this is what we had. Of course, we start just by filling in the local colors. One sec. There we go. Sorry, it wasn't a layer. Okay, so we have the local colors at first. Oh, made a small mistake here. It's okay. After the local colors, what the pipeline that I want to propose to you, if you want to make your animations look like an illustration, first of all, there's always going to be a little bit of compromise, but but we can play with it. If again, animation is just an illusion of movement, so we can do little tricks that you'll see today, so it feels like everything is moving when sometimes it's not. But the pipeline that I propose to you is to separate shading from selections. So what do I mean by selections? We are going to do this. Oh, I guess, oh, let me just delete this mask. There we go. So the first thing I did was making a selection of where my shadows were going to be. You can see it's just, it doesn't have any shading, it doesn't have anything else. And through this selection, you can use it as a mask. And you can also mask it out. Right, so you can see it has a little bit of shading. But what do I mean by using it as a mask? I'm going to use it as a mask on top of a texture. And this is a plain texture. I'm just going to, this is the texture that I'm using, which is trying to emulate what Sevania did. But when I mask it out, look at what happens. Now you will see the trick. It is, the texture is not moving, but it feels like it. I did the same for her skin. No, I actually did a trick here. You'll see. This blushes, like this red part or her hand, this is not moving ever. It's not animated. Since the character is moving so softly, it feels like it just stays in place. So you can also do that. And that's the key to this. Find the balance between the things that you do have to move a little bit with selections and then mask it out for your texture, and the things that they just can be a texture on top. Okay. And we'll add this one. You can see the subsurface scattering with this, which is this like red line. This was animated because it does move. So I just did it carefully. But again, the whole thing is like an illusion of movement. So you don't have to be that careful for it to work. Okay. Let me see if I'm missing. Okay. Yeah. So like, again, there are certain parts, like for example, this texture is just on top of everything and it doesn't move. So you can see the texture of the pillow. If you pay close attention, it does not move, but it's just an illusion. For things like the hat, I believe I did have to move it. So yeah, then there's no escape, but it's the same thing that you were using. If you have your spacing charts, which tells you how, like first the drawings are going to be together, then separate, and then close again, you can do the same with any piece in the scene. That's going to work. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's just the illusion of movement. And then for these highlights, this one were a little bit animated too. And you guys may be thinking, wow, but that's such a complex process. This is if you want to emulate a certain style of your illustration, but I will give you right now an alternative that is way easier and less time consuming. So, okay, here, right? So this is if you want to emulate this style, I want to show you that you can do it. And it doesn't have to be like, again, these are 10 drawings and it works. Let me show you this thing. I wish we had time to go to how I did this. I promise you I will make a YouTube video. The next thing, it's loading. Okay, there we go. This animation that I did of a rotation of Akko from Final Fantasy. Just kidding. I'm just seeing if you're paying attention, chat. How are you guys holding up? Akko from Little Witch Academia, which I love. I love everything Io Yoshinari. And I was trying to study what the volumes of this character are, right? So let's say we're going to shade this character. Oh my God, it moves all around. But check out what I'm going to do. To make a new layer, I'm going to grab everything up to this. Just throw it into I made a new folder. I just throw everything into a folder. And I'm going to create a layer on top of like just this color. I'm just going to go like this. But I'm going to mask it out. So use a clipping mask on top of this, and then set it to, let's say, multiply. I'm going to lower the opacity. And one thing I could do, because I love doing this, is I could erase a little bit with a soft brush. A little bit like this. Do you guys look how simple this is? This is literally a straight line. Will it eat the volume or not? Let's play it. It feels like the lighting is working. So what I want to show you here is that lighting in animation, volume in animation is not about the lighting. It's about the drawing, of course. So you can use pretty simple. Let's just do another like this. Oh. Oh. A little bit like this. And play it. We can even do the same thing and erase a little bit here. But shading doesn't have to be like, you don't have to follow all the details. Like I was playing with this in my short film where I was choosing if I should do the line, like the shadows volumetric like this, or just a line. And where did I get this idea? Well, now that we're speaking of Gainax, from Gainax themselves, look at this. Look at how they shade their animations. Some of these are still shots. Even like in something like this, where you would say, okay, the mouth is open and there's shadow here. Obviously, it has to be in shadow. It doesn't matter. They don't. And it doesn't look weird when you're watching the animation. So you can explore this. Now I'm going to create another layer. Let's go with the red, set it to add glow, and just a little bit of something like this, and clip it. We just lit this, like now it has lighting. So again, this is something that you could use. Have 15 more minutes. Let's see if we can. We're over here. Oh, let's talk about the background. I almost forgot. How did I do the background? So for this, I'm going to go quickly to After Effects. That's not Final Fantasy? Yeah, no, it's not. Okay, it's opening up. Oh, I should show you. Yeah, we should show you a file. One sec. So what I did for the background is I went in and literally just separate each piece. Like the blankets, for example. And look, I wasn't even that careful. I just wanted to have different pieces. And if there's something that's behind, for example, here, I painted a little bit extra. I did this for all the pieces and the flowers. And then we have the background. And I went to After Effects for this. I am using After Effects because I believe this is the only program that can do it. But there's an amazing tool, which, by the way, if you press U, you can see the keyframes on anything. I want to show you the tool in action, which is this one. Where it is here. The puppet position, just some like little tags that you can put on an image. Look, I'm just going to do it with this one. Doesn't matter. And then you can go further and you can move it. Oh, well, it broke. But let me just show you the ones that I already have with this one. There we go. This is perfect. Front. This one's perfect, actually. Yeah, we're going to go over this one here. Okay, so to move this like this, I'm going to lower the resolution so it's not that. We just put some tags on top of it, and then we can move them. Sorry. See? And we can set keyframes, but these keyframes will have the same fundamentals that we just saw. So like it will have start slow, then get here, come back down. And I did that for everything. You can see the flowers. I was using tags to just move them a little bit. And then you can just export this. Either as a video, I prefer an image sequence, and mount it back up into Clip Studio. Okay, so this is the animated background. There we go. Another thing that I love about Clip Studio is that we have, let me just show you where it is. This is just basically free social media content. You can go to File, and there's a time-lapse option that you can set to record. So look at what I'm looking at right now. I have a time-lapse of the entire process, and I will be posting this on social media. But see, you have an entire time-lapse of how you did this. Okay. Let me see if there's anything. Another option you can do for moving things in the background is a fake camera movement, which we will do with this. I think a really important part of the post-production is the camera. So like this is my my process. Here I was trying to imitate what an artist is doing specifically, but I don't want you guys to take like, oh, this is how you have to do it. Again, these are what is important about this is the fundamentals, the steps that I used to like basically wrap your head around how I can do the same thing that I do to an image to an entire animation, right? So here I will show you this scene, but since we were talking about the camera, I want to show you something. I'm just going to set a keyframe to the background, which with this button. Go to the operation tool. We go set a keyframe. Let's just check this is a smooth keyframe. And then at the end, I'm just going to move this. So by calling it smooth, it means it has acceleration and deceleration. Look at what happens. It now feels like the camera is rotating. So you can do stuff like that. I always want you to think about when you're moving the camera of the story that you're trying to tell with the camera. And the reason I'm showing you all of this is because for the final touch for this, yeah, we have everything. What I did was do a little bit of a zoom in. And for that, I throw everything in a folder. Let me turn back the keyframes on. This is going to take a little bit to render, because obviously in all programs, when you're using this many frames, of course, it takes a little while to pre-render. You have the option to set it as just play it however it is, but it's going to miss keyframes, and I don't want it to. But again, guys, the important thing with everything that you do, how you're lighting it, how you are animating it, is what is the story that you want to tell? That is the question that should guide you, because the problem is not that you don't know what to do. It's that there's always so many options, right? Especially when you look at stuff like this. So again, the thing that will guide you is what do you want to create? What do you want to achieve with it? Okay, so you can see it's pretty subtle. I'm going to show you actually the final render. And you can see it has a little bit of a zoom in. And it's great. You have to think about how like moving in or moving out or moving to the side, all these things help you to tell a story. I actually have some examples of other things that you can do with the camera that do not require you to animate anything. Okay, so I have this. I think before we look at this, I'm going to show you the final. Just close. Let me just close this one. I will show you the final, oh, yeah, the final effect. So this is the shot that I'm going to show you how to do. See how it's like all the pieces are getting close together? And well, you can see in the hair, I'm using the pin thing, like what I did with After Effects, little text, I'm using it to move the hair. But all of these pieces, what I did was just paint them on separate layers so I can move them around. Right? So this is an option that you have, and that allows you to do stuff. Oops, this is not, yeah, let me close After Effects. Like this one. You can use parallax, which parallax is you have different layers and they are moving at different speeds. So it gives the illusion of like a lens change or a camera moving in a space that's real, right? So this is from my short film. I also use blur to change the focus from the beginning to the end. So this is the kind of stuff that you could do with cameras, right? You can also use perspective to, like, for example, animate in something like this. And then if we choose our shot wisely, it feels like the camera is panning. So again, you can do a lot of stuff with just a camera. You can create rotations with a grid like this. So here's how it looks. it's the same principle, what I just showed you, like the 360 kind of perspective grid, but it kind of show you again. But the thing is, don't do this only because you can do it, but rather because it helps you tell a story. Okay, we have 4 minutes left. So yeah, I think I've covered most things. The important thing for me today is to show you that cell shading doesn't need to be flat. It doesn't need to be extremely complicated. I know this seems like, because I was going fast, like there's many steps, but again, it's just having a selection and then having a shading, or thinking of what your lighting is doing. And now you know that if you animate it and it feels volumetric in the animation, you can just throw a line on top of it, like a suggestion of where the lighting is, and it will work, because that's how it works. I think the last thing I can leave you with is a little bit of color, of what to do with color. And I will show you this concept art that I did for fun. This is from the project I'm working in, but again, I just did it for fun. But this same drawing with different lightings. And you may be thinking like, oh man, how do I create, like, make it so it feels like it's in this lighting? Well, I want to tell you a really quick story, which is, here it is. I was doing a study from J.C. Leyendecker, which is an amazing artist, one of the old masters. And this is the painting that I did. And I wasn't using a color picker, and I was having a terrible time because I was trying to figure out like what sort of green hues and purple and orange and red and basically all the colors. And I was thinking like, hey, this is insane. And he did it traditionally, so it is insane. But how do we even know all the colors that we have to use? But then I thought of just putting in black and white. And look at what's happening right now. The thing that I discovered is the source of lighting is very clear here. The values are very clear here. So if your values are working up front, you can use any colors that you want and it will work. And that's what I've tried applying in my works. Let me show you this. So that's why I'm not afraid to use like greens and blues and like really saturated colors and reds. It works. If your values are working together, you can use any color that you want and it will work. And yeah, I guess I'm sorry for like going so fast. Again, we are going to have a Q&A session in the Discord server. We're jumping, I think I told you we're going to boys 2, right? So you go into the LightBox Discord server. I think the guys at production have the link for it. I would appreciate if you can paste it. And then we go into the voice chat. You can type in here and you join the voice channel. So you can hear me and I will be streaming. Just give me like 10 minutes to wrap up in here, but I will join there and we can talk. If you just want to say hi, or if you have any questions, we can meet up there. And yeah, guys, I hope you really enjoy this event. Last year was fantastic, and this year is promising to be even better. Like, I've been having so much fun. And guys, don't be afraid of engaging with people and conversations, and just jump into chats. Oh, dang, so I see a friend of mine here. Did I say boys 4 before? Man, well, I'm not sure. Well, we're going into boys 2 because there's nobody. So, oh, well, it's fun now, but there wasn't anyone before, so we'll go there so we don't interrupt. Yeah, guys, so just thank you so much for your time here. I hope this was useful. Again, I'm going to play this small animation. Just turn this off. Okay. Yeah, thank you so much to the Wacom team. Thank you so much, LightBox Expo, for both of you for this opportunity. I just had a lot of fun. I know this was like, it goes by really fast, but yeah, hopefully I keep posting things like this so I can help you in your journey to share all that I've learned through events like this and online resources just like you are right now. And yeah, guys, keep being awesome. Keep on being people that want to help others out and that are not afraid to keep learning. That's going to take you really far. Thank you, guys.